this country and saves who we are. I truly believe that. I truly believe that, and that's why I'm here.
There are signs at this convention saying they're trying to make sure that Biden and Trump are not elected.
For this country. But I think the Libertarian Party is also at a fork in the road this year. I think the question the Libertarian Party has to ask, the question this gathering has to ask of itself is, what is its goal? Is the goal to achieve, at maximum, 3% of the general vote? What was it last time, 1.2%? At maximum, shooting for a 3% goal and calling that a victory? Or shape policy in this country in a meaningful way, to work together with what I hope is term to actualize the vision of this libertarian movement. I think that's a worthy goal. I think that's an achievable goal. I think it's the goal we're going to achieve. But that's a real question for this room that I'm going to be addressing soon to ask itself, and that's what I'm going to challenge everybody in that room to answer.
Are you talking about fusion?
I'm talking about the question of how we actually turn into reality the ideals of freedom enshrined in our Constitution. How do we actually revive free speech in this country? How do we actually revive medical freedom in this country? How do we actually revive a country where a Justice Department does not discriminate against its political opponents? Revive a nation where it's actually run by the people who we elect to run the government, rather than unelected bureaucrats who are exercising power today. How do we get that country back? A country where we're not forking over foreign aid of our own taxpayer dollars to foreign countries that don't advance our own interests. How do we flatten the tax code? How do we allow anybody to succeed with their own hard work without the government impeding their success at every step of the way? Campaign, they are core issues to the America First movement, and they are core issues to the people who are in this room. And the people, well, the answer is, the question was not a coherent one. What, are you talking about nuclear technology or what?
No, in terms of,
I think there is a fusion of interests. I think there's a fusion of interests. And I think there's, look, I think do I believe everybody in this room should do everything they can to make sure the best possible candidate who can, and then work together with Donald Trump, and if I'm part of it, with me in the next administration, to actualize those policies. Yes, I think that's the best approach for the United States of America. After a year of denying his participation in it. So I think that we should actually cut through the sham of the debate that's been arranged, which is that this is Biden's final step to audition for his own nomination. This is the earliest ever presidential debate conducted in U.S. history, in televised U.S. history, and it's the first debate that's happened. This is something other than a final hoop that they want to vet their own candidate before nominating, and I think the race really. I'll have a few words to say that. I'll have a few words to say about my views on some of RFK's policies. I know that he was here earlier today. Look, I respect his views on medical freedom, but I think he's in no sense a libertarian. I mean, the fact of the matter is somebody who believes, or has said he believed, that people should be imprisoned for spreading climate disinformation is an affront to the First Amendment. I think for somebody who cares about human flourishing, his opposition to nuclear energy is mystifying. I think for somebody who cares about freedoms in this country, his on issues ranging from a true libertarian would actually stand for. And so I think there's more to being a libertarian than cultivating a vibe.
I would assume you agree with the non-aggression principle.
I agree with non-aggression principles at their core, but the question is how you actually apply those. My view is the United States should look after its interests just as every nation should look after its own. And I do not believe that...
Does the non-aggression principle, should it apply to that?
The principle that I espouse, because I'm running, or I ran for U.S. president, I am now supporting people running for U.S. president, Donald Trump, is the job of the U.S. is to support allies to the extent it advances U.S. interests. And so I do believe that the United States has a right and responsibility to defend itself if attacked. And I think any other nation that's attacked, including Israel, has a responsibility to defend itself as well. But I do think that the United States' job is to look after the interests of its own citizens and advance a foreign policy.
Go fuck yourself if you're gonna cuck yourself.
So it's not in our interest to defend Israel.
Hey, we believe in free speech.
He's not gonna endorse our candidate.
But Vivek, just to clarify your answer,
He's free to express himself.
it's not in our interest to defend Israel.
I take your question.
Yes.
So I've just been clear about Israel's right to defend itself, and I believe in standing for Israel's diplomatic right to defend itself. Israel's not short on money. What Israel's short on is the job of the UN or the United States to tell Israel that
The
it can't
original
defend
question
itself.
is killing innocents defending yourself.
I think that your characterization, you're a policeman, the answer is no, so practice what you preach is what I would say. Yeah. Last question.
Yes, I'm with ctpolitics.tv, and there are a lot of candidates now who are America First, who are running as libertarians or as independents or as Republicans, who are fighting against extreme wealth and privilege, and there's a huge disadvantage when it comes to running under these circumstances. People who really want to make change, been inspired by your run for candidacy for presidency, what advice would you have to those candidates?
Well, I'd say I have a commentary that relates to what you just described. So I do think the influence of money in politics has been corrosive to our system. I do believe that. Now, I'm not one of these people that divides and adopts a Democratic Party neo-Marxist worldview that says it's between the oppressors and the oppressed and they have to apologize for your success. No, I reject that. I think that if you succeed the right way through the front door and you achieve great wealth in this, should we end the lobbying capture of the way these laws are made in the town that we're in? I think we should. I think should we effectuate term limits that limit the entrenchment of both elected leaders as well as bureaucrats? I do think we need to as well. And so my advice would be to focus, as such candidates you describe, on changing those basic rules of the road. Until we change those basic rules of the road, the results aren't going to change. And I do think it's going to take candidates who think outside of the box of the establishment of both parties to advance causes like term limits, both for both bureaucrats as well as legislators, to advance causes, let's say, you know what, congressmen should not be trading individual stocks while they're sitting in Congress, to say that, you know what, it's not a good thing for some congressman to become a lobbyist within at least 10 years or ever after they leave their job in Washington, D.C. And I think you're going to find strong nonpartisan or transpartisan support for those ideas that you see very few professional politicians advancing today. Thank you guys. I look forward to the speech, and we'll see you guys in there. Thanks for arranging everybody. Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Reason?
Yes.
Yeah. We talked before.
President in history?
The U.S. Declaration of Independence, and I think he's a badass. Yeah. Donald Trump's up there, but TJ's at the top.
For just a moment, are there no state presidential debates